my name is Malcolm MacDonald. I have held numerous IT roles in South Africa over the last 25 years, including several CIO roles. I would like to introduce you today to a brand new YouTube channel that I'm launching called Counsel. Now, the name Counsel comes from one of my favorite science fiction works by Ian Banks, and it is known as the Culture series. In the Culture, the spaceships are super intelligent and often give themselves very ironic names. There's a subculture known as the Zetetic Elench within the culture that goes off in search of the most esoteric and strange ideas and phenomenon in the galaxy and indeed the universe. And the leader of the Zetetic Elench, if they did have a leader, was known as Counsel. And this series and this YouTube channel is going to attempt to bring Counsel to IT and indeed the stakeholders of IT that want to use the IT services within a corporate culture. And I hope that this will be of benefit to many of you, and we're going to get right into episode 1. We're obviously going to start at the beginning, but as the series progresses, we'll get into more and more technical issues and probably start talking about various architectures and technical choices that the IT departments are able to make. However, today we're going to start at the beginning with business analysis. And that really talks to the business stakeholders, the objective they're trying to achieve, and how we can, as IT, distill from that objective the actual requirement and what it is that we have to build. I'm going to switch across to a little diagram over here where we can start to talk about things and build this diagram together. So as I mentioned already, the whole thing starts with the business stakeholders. The business stakeholders need to understand the objective that they're trying to achieve. Well, what is that outcome? What is that outcome that they're trying to achieve? And that will eventually translate into a business requirement. And at the moment, I'm asserting that they don't necessarily understand how to translate that outcome they're trying to achieve into a good business requirement. That requires the business analyst to get involved. Now, a good business analyst understands the business well, can make judgment calls based on things that they know about the business itself. A really good and experienced business analyst also understands the technical environment and understands that based on the technology that's currently employed and the space that's currently occupied by the business technology landscape, what are the trade-offs and choices that have to be made. But in reality, most business analysts will probably have to do a lot of research and try to understand the options and approaches, how other companies have done it, and what the options are that are available to them in order to translate this outcome into a real business requirement. They will also have to take that information across to the technical team at some point in order to be able to understand what the technical choices are and what the constraints are with the technology that's currently employed in the company. However, this business analyst then can take these various outcomes from the research that they've done, package those into options and trade-offs, really make some choices about what are the best options, choices and trade-offs that they can make, and come up with something I'm calling a proposed requirement. Now, this proposed requirement needs to have solid consideration by the business. A lot of failures and issues happen when within IT someone says, well, we could do this, and the business says, yes, do that. And when they actually see what that meant and what was actually then built, it turns out that it isn't actually what they wanted or what they needed. And so it is very, very important here that the business applies their minds to this proposed requirement and that they give good feedback and that they give good and constructive feedback that IT can use to then refine the requirement. Now, the requirement isn't final until the business has given their final consideration to it and said, yes, what you've presented to us is exactly what we need. So there are a number of iterations here, and I think understanding that this isn't just a once-off quick solution where the business analyst throws a document together, the business has a look at the document, says yes, do that, and then that's the end of it. There may be several iterations, and once the business has given their feedback on this proposed requirement, the business analyst needs to do some research on feasibility. So within the environment of this particular business, and based on the technology that this business currently has employed, is that even feasible? These proposed options then need to be presented to the technical team, who can assist the business analyst to research the technical status quo, the technical options, and then they can refine that requirement based on that feedback from the technical team as well. And then one more time, the business will have to give solid consideration to this proposed refined feedback, a refined requirement, give their feedback again, and then the construction of a solution design can commence. And there's one more sort of iteration here where those things are then taken to the technical team with the proposed design, and they give their feedback again one more time. So what we have here is then a very quick overall approach and process that can be used for a business analyst to really understand what the objective and the outcome of their role is, and for the business also, because very often what happens is the business has an expectation that this is going to be a quick document from the business analyst, they'll sign off on it and everything will happen. And that usually isn't the case, because we waste a lot of time building things that are not necessarily what someone wanted. And the objective here is to try and, especially in today's day and age, is to try to avoid, if at all possible, wasting money and wasting time and effort. And that means really spending the time up front, understanding the real need and what is actually required before we go and run off and build a solution that isn't what anyone wanted. So that was episode 1 of series 1 of a brand new YouTube channel. If this is of interest, subscribe, and we'll see you again next time.